Alright, strategy talk because we are lacking knowledge on how it works. Okay, let's just do this. I'll post this on YouTube. You can watch if you want. Anyways, we're gonna run through it. So here's the general gist of it. I'm gonna pull it up on kind of like a word note, if that makes any sense. Actually, we'll just go to the far left. Hold on. Okay. So first of all, we have a few things we need, right? One, we need daily bias. Daily bias, we use the 4-hour time frame, and we only look for external stuff. So 4-hour external. Second up, we look for 1 hour. So the 4-hour external, all it means is like literally what is price seeking in a direction. The 1 hour is any high time frame PD array in subject to what the 4-hour has to offer. So if the 4 hours telling me that we're going up, I want to see a 1 hour sweep to the low. 3 scale down into any time frame, right? And then any time frame between the 5 and the 1 minute. Let me write that down. 5 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. I personally prefer the 1 minute, but that's that. Look for a sweep plus for value gap plus IFEG. And I'll show you guys a prime example of all this. Right, so let's do it. Let's do a sample one. We'll do this one. I already marked it out. I was actually back testing it already. Well, let's just do it, right? So what do we see we did? We opened price open right here, this candle, this area. Well, the actual opening candle's here, but we're inside this bearish for value gap, and we're showing respect to it. So I can expect this to go down, right? I don't know how deep down, but just like, let's keep it simple, right? I expect this to go down, and once I see a reversal, I know my trade's invalid. Hop onto the 1 hour, right? Now, within the 1 hour, I want to see this do what? Either sweep a high or come into a fair value gap. But a bearish stuff. So I want to see a sweep a high or a bearish fair value gap. Here we have a bearish fair value gap that we tapped into literally on the 9 o'clock candle. On top of that, we swept this high. So since we swept that high, I can scale down either to my 1 minute, my 2 minute, my 5 minute, whatever, 3 minute. Doesn't matter. That's preference right there on what you like. The lower, the less probable, but also the better risk to reward you get. So it kind of depends on that. Like, I'm more consistent with risk to reward than probability, so I rather take a better risk to reward. So yeah. All right, so now we're here, right? What do we do? Remember the 3 things I pointed out. We need a sweep, we need a create for value gap, and we want to inverse after that. So here's our sweep of this high. Now anywhere to our left that we created for value gap, yeah, we do. We have one here, but this one's irrelevant, and that's it. So I'm gonna have to wait for price to develop a bit. We're developing, right? Once again, we swept this high, we come down, right? Now, what am I looking for? Us to create a fair value gap in which we can inverse. So I'm waiting, we literally create this fair value gap, we come into it, we inverse it. Liquidity was also swept again, right? You could consider both. I mean, this one, I mean, we already know we swept it, but say, I want us to just sweep one more time before I see the operation come through, right? So you see the fair value gap here, we come up, we tap into fair value gap, we sweep this high, and we create this inverse in which you can enter, follow your 2-hour trade. I mean, honestly, break even off of this guy would be the soonest. Sooner the better. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one's pretty close to the literally take profit. So my best bet would probably be to do this guy, or like somewhere down the line. All right, but that's a great example. Let's do another one. I'll pick a random another day. Alright, this one. So our 9 o'clock candles in here. What do I see we're playing inside? A bullish for value gap, right? Also, we swept this low. So what can I expect from my bias for the day to be? Bullish. I want to see this go up. Okay. Come into the 1 hour. I'm bullish. What do we see happen in the 1 hour? Sweep this low. Alright. Cool. Scale into any time frame that you see that price action could line up to that you like, right? Any time frame that comes to your liking, okay? Now let me come back to that time because my chart is always not gonna do that. Don't even know if that's the right one. I think it is, yeah. Alright, cool. put it on our market open here. So obviously we swept the low. It's already market open. What do I want us to do? I want us to sweep liquidity, create a fair value gap, and inverse it, right? Same thing once again. So here we open. We're coming down. What are we sweeping while we're coming down? All of this low resistance 1 minute liquidity. Low resistance. Low resistance. Hold on. Low resistance. Liquidity, right? We came down through all of that. So we swept liquidity on top of our time frame. We tapped into what? A fair value gap. And within this fair value gap, and I'm sweeping all these liquidity, we have this imbalance. So the moment I see us inverse this imbalance, I'm putting my setup right here. And where's my next closest stop loss? Because this guy basically wicked on it. Where did we not wick? Okay. Break even off of this high. And you can literally ride your trade. Say I want to follow this because it's 2R. Ride the trade through, right? I mean, yes, it chops around, but we're not leaving until either it taps break even or it hits my 2R, right? I'm not gonna take like close a position for whatever reason or do something dumb like that. So yeah, there's that, right? This is how it would look, and we'll do one more just to get like the sake of practice down. So I'll pick another random day. Let's go a little more to the right here. Let's do the 16th. Okay, this is our 9 o'clock candle. What can we tell from the 4 that happened? Oh, it's kind of hard. Let's look to our left. My mouse wheel's broken, by the way. Literally nothing to the left. Lovely. This one's gonna be a little tricky. Well, I can point out this. We did take out this low, so I can expect to be bullish for the day, despite us falling from there. I mean, we do have this fair value gap if this low doesn't hold. So now I'm going down to my whatever it's called, my one hour, right? And within the 1 hour, what am I looking for in my 1 hour for us to like resume our buys? Some sort of 1 hour sweep or PD array. Conveniently, we have a sweep here. Conveniently, we also have a fair value gap here. We didn't tap into the fair value gap, but that's fine. I think this is also a very baby one. Yeah, very thin, but point is, we swept, right? So we sweep a low, bam. Now it's time I go into my 1 minute or my any time frame that you prefer, right? Sometimes like you'll see like a good play and you just have to scale up or down until it's a singular fair value gap or whatever. But that's not how we're gonna roll here. So just do this. Alright. So what is my rule of thumb? I want to see us sweep some sort of thing, create a fair value gap underneath it that we tap into, and inverse it. So like looking to my far left over here. Right, if I were to just look at this lower half leg, what can I already see in here? And this is going to be pretty obvious. But we have this giant leg of fair value gaps. Now, if you mark fair value gaps differently or you don't react off of the one that already got tapped into, we'll just use the discounted half anyways, just in case. But I mark them generally, and until it gets broken, I don't count them anymore. So if it doesn't get inverse, it's just like a fair value gap zone. Give me a second here. This is going to take a hot minute. And there you go. So, we came into this fair value gap, right? If you want, I could actually think it wouldn't even tap if I mark this. No. So we're just going to mark it then how it was. Alright, so we came in, right? Swept lows, of course. Swept all these lows, silly me, of course, right? And then I can look for a setup. Say this isn't enough. Say I didn't like that for whatever reason. Okay, we come down. Okay, nothing, right? Honestly, this might be a day I wouldn't even catch a trade if I want to be for real. But you can look here and say there's something about it here, right? I mean, obviously this is your big fair value gap that you want us to inverse, you know, which we inversed it with this candle. You would go long off of you. Stop loss would be pretty big. This is, like I said, this is a trade I wouldn't want to bother with, just because the RR is really nasty. So this would be a day like you wouldn't bother with, right? Because we didn't get something clear like last time. Like, sure, we swept liquidity, sure, we came into a previous fair value gap, but typically you kind of want to see the fair value gap being played within. So like maybe if it was here, but you can see there's not really an imbalance here. Like we swept lows, didn't even tap into any fair value gap, not worth it. So that's an example of a day you wouldn't trade, right? Where you walk away because you didn't find a setup. And that's the rule. You need to look, and if you don't find the setup, you walk away. The key is to follow. If you are a good follower, if you're good in school, I mean, why are you guys not doing it here? Let's do this day. Alright, cool. So the candle came all the way down, and we are sweeping off all this liquidity on 4 hour. So my bias for the day is probably gonna be bullish because we just took out all this liquidity, right? We're reacting off of this miniature fair value gap, and we took out these two lows, and we tapped into a weekly gap, right? Obviously. So I'm bullish for the day. I don't even care what's the confluence, just I'm bullish, right? So what do I want to see in the 1 hour? Some sort of PD array that's supporting a bullish momentum, or some sort of sweep, right? So if I don't catch a sweep or anything, hold on, I kind of caught the wrong thing. If I don't see some sort of like sweep, then I know not to bother, right? So let's look for our 9 o'clock candle here. Here's our 9 o'clock candle, right? Remember, I'm bullish because we came down into all of those confluences. What was our bullish sweep? Bam. Bullish sweep happened literally right as the 9 o'clock candle opened. So I have my high time frame sweep telling me that I could look for a long setup. Now I just have to look around for the 1 minute requirements that I say, or the 3 or 2 or 5 minute, right? It's always good to use all of them. So we open, I think, literally right around here. Alright, cool. Literally, I see a setup off the rip. But I'll point that out in a second. Okay. So here we open, right? What I want us to do, take out liquidity. 1 minute liquidity stolen, right? Finesse, whatever you want to call it, right? A little choppy if market open, but it's literally, it just opened. On top of that, are we playing off of a fair value gap? No. So we wait again, okay? We're waiting. I want to see us take out liquidity and play off a fair value gap to inverse, right? What do we do here? We take out all of this low resistance liquidity right here, right? Including this guy, of which we tapped into, right? And then what are we doing? Okay, liquidity. Why do I keep talking like Jinxie? Fair value gap we tap into. And anywhere I can find an inverse, right? Since there's no fair value gap here, but I do see a big leg down, I can probably most likely predict that there's going to be some sort of 30-second IFVG. So now let's throw my dumb screen to the far left because TradingView doesn't let me open on previous open candles. That's going to be a hot minute, but let's do it. Jeez, dude. August 5th and we're on 11th. Alright, that would be the 9th. We're almost there. One more. Okay. There you go. So right when we tap into what? This fair value gap at the bottom and we sweep lows, what am I simply looking for? An imbalance of some sort, right? Some sort of imbalance. Alright, there is none. So then I don't bother for the trade and I look for another. Same thing, repeat, right? Where we have price playthrough. I mean, honestly, this guy would have been your target, but there's no other imbalance yet to trade, so that would be like a trade you wouldn't bother with, right? Because there's nothing really you can do or look out for since there's no inverse fair value gap. Yeah, sure, like it tapped the two confluences, but we always want 3, and that wasn't a 3. So let's pretend like we didn't take that trade, because obviously I wouldn't if I didn't see the inverse. And we'll just wait again and look for another fair value gap to be created where price draws into it again, and we catch the bump, right? So here we bump up, we do take out this liquidity, we do tap into this fair value gap. Here's a great example. This is a small one, something I wouldn't really want to bother with, but say if you're really desperate for a trade for the day, you could do this, right? We have this low right here that we do sweep, we come down, we do create this imbalance, and most likely not, there is a fair value gap in here too on the 30-second. If that is enough, then you take the entry. Then we come up to this peak right here. My best estimate of what's going on is it's probably tapped into some 1 hour PD array. So if I were to literally, okay, we're on July. Yeah, the 1 hour fair value gap, we came into it. So now that we tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap, understanding that 4 hours still bullish, right? What could I do? Well, understanding like all of that. Well, you could play around with the 1 hour. Say, okay, now I'm bearish. So since we tapped into this 1 hour bearish thing, right, for the day, now I'm gonna use the same exact strategy and go short because I've been going long for the past few like trade. So I want to show you guys this short. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for us to sweep some sort of high. Okay. What is this to my left? This is a high. We swept it. Cool. What else am I looking for? I'm looking for now price to go down and create for value gap in which it could retrace to. No for value gap, no retracement for value gap here. I'm gonna wait. We do sweep once again highs, go down. No retracement for value gap, no retracement for value gap, no retracement for value gap. And I'm gonna wait it out, you know, okay. Conveniently to my far right over here. What is there? The retracement for value gap. Okay. On top of that, what did we just do? We swept out all these highs on the 1 minute. So on top of us taking, like, entering a 1 hour for value gap that's bearish and now giving me a bearish setup, we just took out a bunch of highs, okay? Now, what is my rule? Sweep for value gap, inverse. I'm just going to point this out that we did sweep something. And now you can look anywhere within this chart for an inverse. I'm certain, like 1000% there is one on the 30 seconds, so I will do this with you guys as well. This is gold, by the way, so you have to understand that gold is not as volatile. I mean, it is pretty volatile, but it's not as volatile as NASDAQ. Like, I mean, it depends, honestly. It's choppier to me. Like, that's what I mean when it comes to volatile. It's like it's choppier, so it doesn't look as clear to me with some of the fair value gaps the moment you scale down. But that's me, right? Two different things. Yeah, my chart is starting to lag. Hold on. We will just do this. And then, okay. There it is. Right, okay. Not a single for value gap, unfortunate. NASDAQ would have something for sure though, but point is, right, I mean you could catch this inverse too, if you really wanted to. Break even off the next low, target this. It's a pretty nasty trade, pretty quick and small, but it's whatever, you know. Calculate your risk and then you could probably cash out the same. It's always about calculating it, but yeah, the one minute it had something there as well if you didn't like the 30-second. Typically on NASDAQ though, it'll look like that. I'm using gold because I already backtested NASDAQ hard enough, and this kind of is more new to me, so I can actually like give an honest idea. But like, okay, here, right, where would we inverse? What fair value gap is there? I mean, the only one clear to my eyes would obviously be this guy. And then, okay, I see us inverse it, right, off this candle. We didn't tap any low yet. Set my stop loss, like, whatever, reasonable. Break even would be you. And then I would just set up a 2-hour setup. So 2 hours right here, it shows 2. That means I put 1 trade in, I get 2 times it in return. Comes in, takes me out, break even. So it's a lot of break evens, but when you do win, it's a big, nice win. Oh, that's about it though. Yeah, that's the strategy.